Tuesday morning here in Lagos. The sun is out already, shimly, softly, and the weather is absolutely beautiful. Today is Mr. President's birthday. Happy 77th birthday to President Muhammadu Buhari. We wish him all the wisdom and strength he needs to anchor this nation to the promised land. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Now let's get to business. The land borders with neighboring countries, including Benin and Niger, have been partially closed since August the 20th this year, and that's in an obvious move meant to curb what they call the smuggling of large quantities of rice as well as other commodities. So as we speak right now, we're told the local consumption of oil has dropped by 30%, increase in local rice consumption. Rice farmers are absolutely happy. They're making money. In fact, they say the local rice has good aroma. It's nutritious. It is healthy. Well, sometimes you still have to deal with the stones, no doubt. And Mr. President has forced us now to go local this Christmas when it comes to rice consumption. I'm joined by Hamad Bello Ahmed, OFR. He's a Controller General of Customs, retired. Thank you for finding time to come on the program this morning.
Thank you very much.
Let's begin on a light note. Remember that in 2014, the issue of recruitment with the Customs Service was a major disaster. So there was a tweet. There was a tweet recently, for instance, where the Nigerian Customs Service was saying that it will open up its portal of recruitment of 3,200 officers to fill existing vacancies. And there's a lot of back and forth. We hear a special advisor to the president saying that this is an old tweet. It was tweeted perhaps some years ago. And oftentimes you go on social media, you hear stories like this. How come we're still here at this time?
Well, good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, my fellow colleagues in the maritime sector. I know they are all by their televisions to watch this program.
Absolutely.
Now, the issue of the recruitment, there was no recruitment in 2014. And there was no even attempt to make any recruitment in 2014. The recruitment was in 2019. Okay. And they advertised, they opened their portal to recruit 3,200 support service. From level 7 to 8 is the support service, those that assist the customs in the discharge of their statutory responsibilities. This exercise went on for about 1 month or so. Candidates applied.
In 2019?
In 2019. What we are expecting now from the customs is the list of those shortlisted for examination and interview and the final recruitment. This is what we are expecting. When I saw this, a lot of people were sending text messages to me. Is it true? Is it true? I don't know how this paper came about with this information. They have already opened that portal sometimes with, I think, about 2-3 months ago. And there was application that were submitted. And then they sent acknowledgement to all the applicants. What we are waiting to hear from the custom now is to come up with the list of those shortlisted for examination and interview.
Do you think that customs is doing enough when it comes to public enlightenment? You go to Facebook and each and every time you see someone saying, oh, there are some cars that have been seized by customs for sale, and the bidding process is happening at so time. How authentic is this information?
You see, it is the 419ers that are taking advantage of this. Nigerians want free things. So once you hear customer auctioning, after all, what is auction in custom? Auctioning in custom, there are two types of auction in custom. You have that of overtime, those that remain in the port for more than 28 days, and those that remain in the government warehouse for more than 15 days. They want to auction them. What's the procedure of auctioning? If you go through the government warehouse code, it is stated very clearly there. You first of all calculate the duty of that item. For example, it is 100,000 duty. You put 100,000. The cost of moving the goods from the terminal to the government warehouse, you calculate it, say it is 50 naira, you add it. The cost of rent in the government warehouse, if any, you add it. When you get your total, say 200,000 naira, your auction will start from 200,000.
Okay.
And if you sell it less than 200,000, if they bid it less than 200,000, the law say carry it back to the government warehouse. And you bring it the other time. If they sell it maybe 250 or 300,000 or even 1 million, then you sell it. You bring out the duty that is due to the government, you pay. Bring out the cost of movement from the terminal to the government warehouse, give the terminal operators. Bring out 3% of that total value, give the auctioneer. And then bring out the rent in the government warehouse, pay in the fees account. Then the balance. If the owner of these goods apply to the customer, say, please give me my balance, because goods being in the terminal for over time is not an offense. He didn't commit any offense. So the law say give him back his money.
Return it back to
Yes,
the owner.
but if he didn't apply for after over 1 year, then you pay it into the government account.
How often does this auctioning take place, and where can the public get authentic information about when and where?
Usually, when goods are transferred from the terminal to the government warehouse, it is the duty of the custom to publish this thing either in the official gazette or in the papers that so and so goods are in the government warehouse. The owners are to come and carry them within so and so period. If you fail to come, then they will dispose it.
I get your point precisely. Let's turn our attention to the land border that has made news for the past 3 months now. Initially, the directive was a partial ban on imports and exports via the land. Shortly after, the federal government ordered a complete closure of the border to expedite the achievement of its objectives. Help us understand the situation at the borders right now. Is this the biblical Jericho situation where the whole country is shut down, or these borders are shut down and no single person can go in or come out?
Well, I don't know about persons. I know about goods, because the customs are dealing with goods.
Okay.
And the law gives the custom the power. Section 24 of the SEMA gives the custom the power to prohibit importation of goods into Nigeria. Section 48 of the SEMA as well gave the custom the power to prohibit the exportation of goods out of Nigeria. So what they did, the closure of the border, is to exercise their powers as enshrined in the Customs Management Act, Cap C 45, 2004, laws of the Federation. This is what they did.
I get that point precisely, and we understand the position of government, the fact that Nigeria shouldn't be a dumping ground for all of the substandard products. But what is the issue right now? Are these same products being imported via ports where duty is paid on them? For instance, rice, foreign rice, do they still come in via the ports?
No, you see, in 2018 or so, I think, I can forget now, 2018, I think, there was a list of 41 items issued by the central bank prohibiting purchase of forex from central bank. But you can on your own import. If you have your own money, you can import. Rice is one of the 41 items that were said not to be using funds from the CBN. So, but we have import guidelines, government policies, that you cannot import anything into this country, whether the value or the quantity, unless you have what is called Form M. And how do you obtain your Form M? When you apply, when you tell your exporter, please send me a pro forma invoice. I need to buy so and so things. That pro forma invoice, you calculate the insurance, which is usually 0.5% if it is by air, or 1.5% if it is by sea. Then you add the total, submit it to your bank, and then it will go to the central bank. The central bank will now give approval for that Form M.
Okay.
It is when they give you the approval, then it goes to the custom. The custom will check all your documents and say, okay, ship your goods. And your goods will be shipped. So
you're saying precisely, as we speak right now, the foreign rice is still being imported into the country. It's just that it has to follow a particular
if you get your Form M
pattern. Okay.
You see, the problem is the central bank don't issue Form M again. But they did not ban importation of rice. They did not. But you must have a Form M before you import. So when you apply for that Form M, the central bank don't approve it. And if they don't approve it, you cannot import. That's what is happening.
I understand what the benefits are, but let's just go through some of the challenges that Nigerians have been faced with in the past couple of months. For instance, the ban is not only on importation, it is also on exportation of goods via the land borders. Is that accurate?
What are those items banned from exportation?
So are you saying that goods manufactured in Nigeria are still being exported via the land borders?
Yeah, they can export. Nobody stopped it. There was nothing. What the government stopped is that you cannot import through the land border. And not all the items that you cannot import. They have given those items. You cannot import vehicles through the land border. You cannot import rice through the land border. There are other items like the poultry products, vegetable oil, and second-hand clothing. These ones are even within the port or airport or seaport, you cannot even import it because they are under import prohibition. Especially the second-hand clothing is absolute prohibition.
So you're saying authoritatively now that this closure of land borders does not in any way affect exportation of goods manufactured in Nigeria?
Well, it doesn't. It doesn't because the government didn't say anything about it. All what they say, we have closed the land border against importation. It didn't talk about exportation.
We're told that there are hundreds, if not thousands, of illegal entry points into the country. But from the figures we're hearing from customs, they make us understand that they have made a lot of progress from the closure of the land border. Does it mean that these other borders that are not known are not relevant again?
You see, we have what is called approved routes. Approved routes, where the government recognizes these routes, that these routes are supposed to be the legal entry points of goods and services. We have about, I think, about 59 of them.
Okay.
These are we have about 59 approved routes for now. That's what we have.
What I'm saying,
so if you are coming through a route that is not approved, it's an illegal entry point, and the customs are supposed to seize those goods. But you can come through these approved routes, come with your goods, make your declaration before the customs, and then if there is any duty to be paid, you pay your duty, and they allow your goods to come in. But the policy says no rice come into through the land border, no second-hand vehicles come through the land border, no medicaments of chapter 30 comes through the land border. They don't allow that one. So if you want to import these products, it must come through the seaport or the airport.
A group of businessmen under the aegis of Association of Nigeria Licensed Customs Agents and Coconut Fish Farmers Union on Monday at the semi-border protested, of course, over the closure of the nation's border by the federal government. And their point here is they have lost over 5 billion naira in the past months. And they are saying that it was wrong of government agencies to seize products are vested in Nigeria in the notion that they were not got from Nigeria. They're also saying that these are that some of these goods, import duties have already been paid on them before the closure of these borders.
That's the report they made. And fish is one of them, you say?
Well, they are saying that they didn't mention precisely, but they are saying that they have already paid normal customs duty.
Fish is one of the 41 items that you cannot import with funds from the central bank.
Okay.
And before you import, they should produce the Form M. Why is the Form M? Let them bring the approved Form M from the CPN, that these goods legally imported, duty were paid. In fact, when do you pay your duty? When do you pay your duty? You can't just say our duty has been paid. If the duty is paid, it's on the other side. As soon as you pay your duty, goods will move into the custom territory. Before you now submit your documents and pay your duty, you can pay it in advance. And as soon as they come, then they move into Nigeria. Then the custom conduct fiscal inspection if they want to. If they don't want, they are satisfied with the documentary declaration, then they allow the goods to pass. So they cannot just say they have paid duty and these things are there and they didn't, the border was closed, they couldn't come in. No.
Perhaps one of the greatest advantages of the closed borders now will be the fuel consumption in Nigeria. We're told that some of this fuel, one way or the other, get to neighboring countries, and they are fuel that government already paid subsidy on. But the issue here, one of the issues that happened recently was cutting fuel supply to neighboring areas to the borders. The fact there would be that there are individuals, there are businesses in and around border communities who also need fuel for commercial and domestic needs. They are Nigerians after all.
You see, let me say this thing very clearly. The issue of petroleum products should not go 20 kilometers to the border. I have not seen any law in the customs SEMA that says goods that have been paid duty or goods that originate from Nigeria, customs should control their movement. No. Once the duty is paid, and you know these petroleum products is imported by NNPC. In fact, the origin is Nigeria. They carry it abroad, they refine it, and bring it back to Nigeria. So it's Nigeria's origin. And as a Nigerian, I find myself, let me make this point very clear. I'm a farmer. When I retired, I went back to my village and have 600 hectares of farm. And I'm producing rice seeds. I'm producing.
So you're one of the beneficiaries
Yeah.
of the closed border right now.
No.
I'm told that rice farmers are happy now that the borders are closed.
Who are those telling you rice farmers are happy? Who are the rice farmers in the first place? It's not farmer in Lagos. It's not farmer in Kaduna. It's not farmer in Abuja. This is why policies of government has been failing. In 2014, there was this policy on rice revolution in Nigeria. And government identified some investors in rice, gave them concession to import rice at 20% duty rate. I mean 10% duty rate with levy of 20%. An ordinary trader, when he imports, he pays about 60%, 10%, and I mean 70%, 10% duty, 60% levy. Now, there is a provision in the custom law, section 43, when you are given exemption, when you are given concession, the purpose for which this thing is given must be used. Is custom following to the logical conclusion of this thing? Is the government itself following to the logical conclusion of those policies they made? No. And that is why we failed in self-sufficiency in rice production in Nigeria. That's why we failed. Because they give it and they allow it like that, it goes. Nobody follows it and see that it gets to its logical conclusion.
So we're cutting smuggling, no doubt, from the figures that we're hearing from customs. But the implication of the closure is that prices have driven up. Even the rice that we're talking about. So you almost can say that the price of local rice is now at par with foreign rice.
This is to tell you that we don't produce rice in the country. All those that are telling you that we now produce our district, if we produce it, why should the price go up? I was in your waiting, sitting in your waiting room, and I saw they are showing the mode of smuggling in petroleum tankers, in vehicle tires. They smuggle this thing. What is that desperado? Why? Because we don't produce enough rice. The border has been closed because they are smuggling rice. I would advise government on two things which I want government to do. One, we have a common external tariff. This is the tariff we are using. The 15 member countries, we are using the same rate of duty, and that is why it is called ECOWAS Common External Tariff. The rate of duty of rice in Nigeria is the same rate of duty in Senegal, in Gambia, in Cote d'Ivoire, the same rate of duty. Now, we have this common tariff. I want government to call an urgent meeting. Because if Nigeria banned the importation of rice, Cotonou did not ban it. The rice can come in Cotonou, and once it comes in there, in Benin,
will find its way.
Then it finds its way into Nigeria. Let's all the ECOWAS countries come together. Let us sit down. Let us have a common prohibition list. Common prohibition list. If Benin say, no, we cannot grow enough rice to feed ourselves, so we need to import, we say, okay, let us put it under
control.
So that if you are importing rice, you must have a permit from government. And government cannot give permit for everybody. It will give the quantity it requires to feed its people. If Nigeria cannot feed itself on rice, before you import rice, you have to have a permit. So let us come together so that we have common prohibition list. Just like we have common tariff rate. Just like we have common concessions. This concession here is for all the ECOWAS members. Let us also have common import prohibition list, whether it is absolute or for trade. Let us have that one. If we have that one, then we are going to control the smuggling of rice into Nigeria.
As we speak now, expectedly, there's been some pushback from entrepreneurs in neighboring countries that are caught in what we now call the economic crossfire. News reports from Ghana, for instance, suggest that traders are shutting down foreign-owned businesses. We learnt about the issue in South Africa. The possibility of Nigeria's action fueling xenophobic attacks is apparent, no doubt about that. But how sustainable, how long can we really close these borders?
The solution is what I have just told you. If we can control this, If Benin say, because in Benin today, you can import whatever quantity of rice you want. The government knows that. They collect the duty. So let us come to agree. We have a common custom territory. Let us come to agree what comes into our territory and what goes out of our territory. Let us come together and do that. Once we do this, we are going to solve, in fact, 90% of the smuggling, this thing will be solved. And there will be no need for us to close our border. Because if rice is under restriction in Benin, nobody will import. If they import, they will seize it. If rice is under restriction in Senegal, if they import it, they will seize it without the permit. So if we harmonize this one, we are solving 90% of our smuggling problem.
It's a brilliant idea, but that will be dependent on the fact that our neighboring countries are not actually making bulk of their revenue from dumping of these products into Nigeria in the first place.
No, they are not making any revenue. That is what we call warehousing in customs. You can import your goods. You have a bonded warehouse approved by the customs. Your goods will go there without payment of duty until when you want to release it into your territory.
You know, what customs say now is that some of these imported groups, when they get to warehouses in places like Nigeria and Benin, they repackage them, so to speak, before sending them back into Nigeria.
We are not talking of transit. Mind you, we are not talking of transit. It is the transit that you cannot change the packing.
Okay.
And it has to go in the way it is imported to the next country where it is going. But there is what we call warehousing procedures.
Okay.
You can import things, put them, even if it's meant for use in Nigeria, I can import and put in my warehouse without payment of duty. Anytime I want to use it now, then I will apply to the custom, assess duty for me, I'm going to pay. Then they'll pay the duty, it goes. So the moment the government comes together, let the government call urgent meeting of all the ECOWAS countries together and harmonize their import and export prohibition list. Period.
There are other suggestions, what some pundits have called healthier solutions. One is more stringent licensing requirements, effective technology-enabled border policing that will certainly limit all of these issues. But would you say that all of these are ongoing while the borders are closed?
Tell me the security agency in this country that is not at the border or at the airport or at the seaport. Tell me the security agency. The only one I can tell is the prison department. And if I meet the Comptroller General of Prison, I'll tell him, please send your officers to the border because there are some prisoners that might escape. They want to go across the border so that you identify them. All the security agencies that you know in this country are at the border.
But presence doesn't mean effectiveness. Are they technology enabled?
Why should they not be effective? Do you need a technology when a container is crossing the border to stop the container?
Well, perhaps we might need.
How?
If indeed our borders are as porous as they say, we might not have enough men to even man them.
Which is money. There is no way smuggling will take place. Somebody is not involved in it. No way. If they are not involved in it, you do it 1, 2, the third one you'll be caught. And after all, it's the Nigeria Customs Service enforcing compliance with the law setting up the service. You seize goods. We only hear they seize the handover to police. What happened to those goods? We don't know. Is there any? They are not enforcing compliance. They are not punishing anybody. You smuggle, you are caught. What the law say, you should be carried to court and be prosecuted. How many people custom carried to court in the last 10 years? How many? None. We hear they seize tankers of rice. What happened to it?
We don't get to find out who is behind all of that.
There is no way a smuggler will come, you catch, you don't. That vehicle is registered. Who registered the vehicle? Whom did you give this vehicle to? The owner? Who gives? You find it. A container of arms comes. There is a container number. The shipping company is there. Did you get to the shipping company? Who is the consignee of this thing? No. You see, we are having deficiency of knowledge in the customs service. That is our problem. The service needs reorientation, retraining of the officers. If we don't train them, all these things we are doing, we are just wasting time.
You're saying that there is more to revenue making and the brandishing of figures or money that customs is making, that indeed we now need to move ahead to punishing corporates in this matter.
In my opinion, the customs are collecting only 1/3 of what they are supposed to collect. This is. There was a release in the district that the customs in 2018 collected 1.01 trillion naira. I'm sure you are aware of it. And they say they have never collected this amount of money in Nigerian Customs Service. You can have that idea, but to me, no. In 2014, the custom made a collection of 977 billion naira with the exchange rate of 197. When you divide it, what do you get? You get about $5 billion. In 2018, the custom said they collected 1.01 trillion naira with what exchange rate? 306. Divide it. What do you get? About $2.5 billion. Is it up or down? It's down. What the customs are supposed to collect with the current exchange rate is of 326 naira. This is the official exchange rate, 326 naira to a dollar. They are supposed to collect about 3 to 4 trillion naira with this exchange rate.
Eye-opening indeed. Let's talk about the implication of Nigeria's action on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. A lot of people talk about the fact that African Union members came together. The goal was clear: to increase inter-African trade by eliminating cross-border tariffs and non-tariff barriers to trade. Isn't what we're doing a breach of this free trade agreement?
Look at even this, the common external tie. ECOWAS community. It's a regional community. It's not a continental community. And we are shutting our borders against our brothers of the others because they don't comply with their import procedures. Now we are going higher to the continental level. Is it possible? The last 2 weeks or so, there was a meeting in Abuja. By January 2020, we are supposed to start using common currency, the ECO, isn't it? That's what we are supposed to. Why are we closing our borders now? Is the failure on the part of the enforcing agencies to enforce compliance, not only in Nigeria, but even in the other countries of the sub-region. They cannot enforce compliance with the laws. Laws and regulations that we have are not being enforced. And as long as we don't enforce this one, then I think we are only wasting time.
Are you saying that the responsibility of enforcement lies on the shoulder of the relevant agencies?
Yes. Not only customs. Customs statutorily on import and export. That's their responsibility. But they can do the functions of other agencies. If you read the revised Kyoto Convention or the Arusha Declaration, one of the effects of corruption in custom is mistrust by other agencies of government. Go to the port today, the NDLE is there, the Standard Organization is there, the police are there, the army, the navy, the air force, everybody is there. Yet the wrong things are being done. Because they don't trust the custom will do their own part of their job for them. And that's why everybody is in the port.
And that indeed has caused what we now call the port congestion. You recall that the Apapa port, there was a presidential declaration to clear it. But the truth is that the closure of the land borders did not help matters. What measures do you think?
The closure of the land border cannot say it will ease congestion in the port. The moment you put aside your rules and regulation, there will be consequences. And one of the consequences of this is this port congestion. Let me tell you, in every port, go to Calabar, go to Port Harcourt, go to One, go to Idiroko, every custom area, there is always a government warehouse. It's one of the conditions for you to establish a district. Section 12 of the SEMA says that the administrators of the port will provide officers to the satisfaction of the custom officer. And one of the most important officers of the custom is the government warehouse. When they were concessioning the port, the government warehouse in Apapa, the government warehouse in Tinkan were concessioned together with the port. No government warehouse there. The use of the government warehouse are 3 or 4. 1, to store seized goods. 2, to store detained goods. 3, to store transshipment or transit goods. And 4, to store overtime cargo. Section 31 of the SEMA says no goods will remain in the terminal for more than 28 days. After 28 days, the custom will generate their system and come up with what is called UCL, unclaimed cargo list, and transfer them to the government warehouse. And in the government warehouse, they will remain there for 15 days. After 15 days, if the owner did not carry them, then they will dispose of them. And in Apapa and Apapa Tinker district, they are supposed to do it, the area controller. In fact, it's the responsibility of the area controller to do auctioning every Monday of the week. So that you move container out of the terminal, you give space for the new one to come in. See Apapa today. Go to Tinker today in the terminal. Ships, mountains of containers. Why shouldn't be congestion? And the fallout, it goes coupled with the bad roads. And that is why we are having the congestion in the port.
Hamid Bello Ahmed OFR is a retired Controller General of Customs, and he's joined us in this morning to address some of these issues. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll open the phone lines to take as many calls as we can and continue in the light of this caution. Stay with us. Staying with us, the land border closure, customs establishment and statutory function, as well as port congestion, ease of doing business are some of the issues that we're looking at on the show this morning. Hamid Bello Ahmed OFR, retired Controller General of Customs, thank you for staying the course on the program this morning. You were talking about, while we're on break, about certain codes, certain guidelines that's supposed to serve as a guideline for the operations of the service. Can you just throw more light on that?
Yeah, we have about 44 codes. These codes are to guide the custom officers in the discharge of their responsibilities. Take, for example, we have what is called import examination code. Any officer that goes to examine a container, what is foremost in his mind? 1, he should make sure that the proper duty of this consignment is paid. 2, he must make sure that these goods are not banned or under restriction. If they are under restriction, then they are supposed to produce the license permitting them to bring these goods. 3, they are to make sure that the quantity, the quality, and all other requirements are being complied with. And that officer who performed this examination will be responsible for whatever happens. We see cases where containers will be released from the port and they will be seized. The federal operation will seize them and find their arms and ammunition, not what is there. Have they ever called the officer who did that examination, who signed those documents, and punish him? No. Why should he not continue? It will continue. Not until we come back to these codes that I'm talking about. Not even only the custom that are being guided by this code. Even the license clearing agents are also being guided. There is what we call custom and excise notices. There are about 59 of them, these codes. And these codes are to guide the agents. Today, an agent will go and collect goods from an importer to clear the goods. The law says the importer must write to the area controller and say, I have appointed so and so as my clearing agent, so that he will be held responsible for the action of the agent. Recently, there was a siege abuse. The CG came to Lagos of about how many 60 containers or so of rice. The owner of the container said he didn't give the agent. What he gave the agent was different from what the agent has done. And these containers are still there. Nobody is being punished. Nobody is being prosecuted.
Let's talk about your time as Controller General of the Customs. Was it any different from what we have now?
Yeah, when I came, what I found in the system is what I found on ground. I set a panel to get all these codes. In fact, we wrote to Ghana Custom to get all these codes, to review and update them. I have also initiated a training for the agents, because I know I visited Lagos, I visited Port Harcourt, I visited Kano, to see how far the training of the agents are going on.
Let me hold you for a minute to take this conversation to Abuja. We'll get back to that. Please hold that thought. Good morning, Francis.
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you speak
Good
louder
morning.
than that?
Yes, good morning. Good morning. I'm enjoying your program.
Yeah, thank you, Francis.
But the problem is closing the border is perfect. It's fantastic. But the problem is this administration, they've lacked ideas. Closing the border, they are generating the money for federal government. And what are the measures on ground to meet up when we open our borders? So what next? Is it closing the border? You flooded the place with police, with army, a lot of people there. Definitely, it's not going to be closed forever. So what are the measures to discourage Nigerians from patronizing those foreign goods, like the rice we are talking about? Are you encouraging the local farmers here? No. We are just closing the border. Said we are negotiating with our neighboring countries. So after the negotiation, when they have accepted to the terms of whatever they are agreeing with them, you open the border. So what next? So thank you so much.
Thank you, Francis. It's exactly what we're talking about, and the Controller General retired has given us some fantastic ideas on the possibility of having a cohesive approach to it with our other neighboring countries. You were talking about your efforts with this codes. Why?
Now, before we continue with these codes, let me add, because I told you I want the federal government to do two things. One is to harmonize the import prohibition list. Secondly, is to come up with a policy on production of rice in the country. They can take maybe 2-3 years to come up with this program and make sure the program actualized. And one of these is what I call, I'm writing to the Honorable Minister of Agriculture, a proposal on rural rice revolution. Because you make a policy in the state capital, they register farmers. These farmers are friends of those that register them. They are not the actual farmers that are producing the crops. When imports come, fertilizer, seeds, herbicides, you will see traders are standing by. As soon as they collect this thing, they buy it, and it goes back to the market. The poor farmer who is in the rural area, who need these items, has to go and buy through these traders. So there should be a policy of rural rice revolution in Nigeria.
Let me hold you to Brigadier Bello. Bello is calling from Lagos. Good morning, Bello.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead with your contribution.
Can I be on to the former Controller General?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Good morning.
You
Morning.
have to turn down the volume of your TV.
Morning,
so that
Bello. We
Yeah,
are here.
good
We are
morning,
hearing
sir.
you.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to commend the CG, former CG. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
You can see he's very vast with the Custom Management Act, and he knows everything. That is a very good one. You said you are a farmer, sir.
Yes.
And I don't know if the former Controller Generals have a body where they come together so that you can offer your advice and experience. Like you just said, the government have closed the borders and we don't have enough rice to cater for the population. So definitely the people must be desperate to look for a way of smuggling rice into the country because the masses are hungry. Just like you said earlier on, if there will be a law guiding all the ECOWAS countries whereby you can regulate the importation of rice to the various countries, then it will help us in Nigeria. So that should be one of the main contributions to the government and the former CGs and the present Controller General, so that it will help reduce the issue of smuggling of rice from the other bordering countries to Nigeria.
Thank
And
you
also
very much, Bello.
Just earlier on, you spoke about the issue of production of rice.
Okay.
We have so many farmers, but the government are not supporting the main farmers so that there will be enough rice. We keep hearing it everywhere. We are producing rice. These are, but the rice today goes for as much as 21,000 for local rice.
It's all right, Bello. Thank you very much for your contribution. So we know that there are political farmers that you mentioned earlier who hijack all of these things that government is giving. But I'm concerned, as a former Controller General, what's your relationship with the current CG in robbing mines and selling some of these ideas that you're talking about?
You know, when the current CG came on board, I have my own brother, Dr. Mahmoud Tukur. Dr. Mahmoud Tukur called me and said, please go and sit down with this present Controller General and advise him on what to do. He sent his in-law, somebody, Ahmed Saleh, came to me. We went to the CG. I sat down with him for 2 hours in his house. And I advised him on what to do. And he confessed to me that custom is highly, highly technical. And he asked me to go and sit down and commit all these things into writing. I went back, I did it. And Saleh came to my house, collected it, and took it to him. Since the day he collected it, today, he doesn't talk to me. And he did not implement this thing. He did not.
And you have made attempts to get back to him on the document you sent?
No, it's not me that will make attempt to get back to him. You know, when you get to a position, there are so many stories you hear, especially myself. When I became CG, I had so many problems, so many things to go through. And even after I left, I had so many problems. But I was able to survive them because I was doing what I think was right. So the service today needs, as I said, and I will continue saying, training so that they will be held accountable for all the imports that come into this country. Today, as the CG or as the customs, a particular vessel number 001 that came in January, what happened to the goods on that vessel? They will not account for it.
Let's take Yakub's call from Dr. Good morning, Yakub.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. And good morning to your guest.
Thank you.
Mr. I don't think I have anything to disagree with the final because he has said this one. So what is baffling me is this. I hope the agents or the people that are close to the government are watching this video this morning. They are listening to the old man because it seems to be he knows his point. Because this is the kind of experience that we need to advise government. He said something that is so germane earlier that yes, you close the border, and then I'm of opinion. I buy to that idea the border must be closed. But what is the parameter in place? Number one, he says that we don't produce enough rice. That is why some people find themselves and then bring this same foreign rice into this country. Today, as it is this morning, some of the foreign rice find their way to this country, and then they are selling it 26,000 per bag. And then our local rice, what is it cost? It is now almost 22,000, 18,000 naira. I don't think that we're producing enough. I think drastically the price will just drop. But he has said a lot of things. our custom needs retraining and then orientation. Because in the first place, how manage the right to find his way to the country after we say that we have closed the border? So definitely there's a successful tour. There are some people, there is a corruption is going on in our border. They can't deny that. And then finally, it's another thing that is so damaging as well. He said all these containers, containers of rice, containers of used cloth and all that have been fixed. Who follow it up? What happened to those rice? Where did they carry it to? I said one time ago, one of the custom officers came to this studio, anchored by Mr. Yori. I put the question to him that very particularly that some of the other customs, their wives are open shop. They have shop rights. But he's denying that very particular day, which I don't agree with him. Because all those words are working. Where is he going to? We monitor, are they banning it? It's only God will help us in this country. But closing the border, I'm of it's okay. But the Nigerian government should be able to put some certain things in place so that we have enough rights made by locally. And then the price will crash. Thank you, God bless you.
Thank you for your contribution. So the perception has arrived amongst the Nigerian public that perhaps some of the challenges we have with customs is even with some of its personnel. The fact that certain custom personnel are complicit to the very core of the smuggling activities. What was your experience of that?
It's not only custom. It's not, go to the border, see who are those driving those vehicles that carry rice, that carry vegetable oil. Who are those? People in uniform. And they put their own uniform, they drive these vehicles. What has happened to them? You see, the moment you don't follow to your rules and regulations, we will continue to be in this mess that we are in today. I want to put this point. We have custom border station. We have custom port. We have custom airport. It's always custom. Not NP airport, not FAN airport. It's custom. And the custom has the responsibility of ensuring what comes into the country, what goes out of the country. Today, go to the airport today. At the last point, before the boarding of this thing, where the scanner is, the custom officer is not there, and he cannot go there. Why? It's a custom airport. The law gives him the power to go into every building, every office, in the custom airport, in the custom seaport, and the border station. They don't do it today. They took over their responsibilities. And when there is problem of smuggling, they'll pinpoint at the customs. Look at what happened in Saudi Arabia when a girl was arrested there. They say with drugs. The officer custom, it is custom they now send the query to. That happened at Madam Aminu Kano Airport. The customs are not at the exit point. Because there was a circular, ease of doing business, sent by the then acting president. And because of that, they say custom will not be here, custom will not be here, custom will not be here. Is it not a custom port?
Let me take a caller from RBST. Good morning, Okorafo from Arochukwu.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, CGC, retired mama. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Honestly speaking, sir, you see, I want to find out this issue of bonded warehouses. Who uses the goods? Because when you come and talk about bonded warehouses, they say these are goods that are contraband and are there. By the time you talk Jack Robinson, the goods will disappear. How do the goods manage to disappear? Is it there's one snake or one lizard there that disappears with such things? Now, the issue of customs going to people's shops to seize goods, which they say is important. Where were they when people they brought all these things inside? And you are coming to arrest somebody who went to the market, he's running a provision shop, and he's selling all this. You are coming to arrest him, to ask him where did he get. You see, sometimes, like what you are just rightly said at the beginning of your program, this issue of training and retraining, there is need for proper training of our personnel in customs. You cannot rule it out because we are talking about technology. Technology, there are different forms of all these things because every day you sit down and talk. At the end of it, we are not implementing them. Good for what you have been saying now. But it is very, very disheartening that the past retired CGS cannot come together and sit down, gather their own parts, gather their own materials, give it to the present system so that we move forward. have serious changes. Because issue of rice, as far as I ask people, is it the only rice that is only edible thing in this country? Where people so crazy about foreign rice, 30,000, are there no other means of food people can eat? I'm forgetting about rice. So I don't know if be crazy about rice. But the thing is, I want to find sir, this issue of cars, I agree that the closure of borders, some of these cars, when they steal it, they cannot go outside to sell it at Cotonou and still bring it back. They have problems. The whole thing circulated within Nigeria. All these exotic cars that there are people used to see in those days, so I know you are retired and you are not tired. Who collects those cars? Where are those cars? The previous ones, even when you were in the office at the present day, where are they? Thank you very much. Have a blessed day in Lagos. God bless you and keep the alarm. May your tongue be filled with laughter. Thank you, sir.
Good to hear from you, Korofa. You could want to answer.
Let me answer to his questions.
Yes.
He asked bonded warehouses. There are two types of bonded warehouses. You have private bonded warehouse and you have general bonded warehouse. The general bonded warehouse is that once you register, there is a bond that you normally give to the customs. Goods from the port, it is actually meant to decongest the port, will be moved into these bonded warehouses. There are custom officers that are there. But the problem is, and we still come back to this point of training, they don't even know what is the role of the custom in a bonded warehouse. That is the bottom line of the whole thing. They don't know. So the training, I will continue emphasizing on this training. There is also the private bonded warehouse. Like you, if you have your own warehouse, you are a manufacturer of this thing, when your goods come, you can move them from the port to your bonded warehouse and keep them there until when you are ready to pay the duty. By the time you pay the duty, then you invite the customer will come and examine and release it to you. This is the second bonded warehouse. Now, the issue of going into shops and this thing, Section 147 of the Custom and Excise Management Act gave the custom officer to go into any premises at any time without even warrant. If I suspect in this your premises there is a smuggled goods here, I can come into it, search, seize the goods, arrest you. Or I can even seal the whole of this place. The custom have those
But I guess what he's saying is that if we don't take care of that at the border, it will be very overwhelming.
He said the goods were smuggled. The goods were smuggled. If they steal goods in Cameroon and police catch it in Nigeria, will they say, why were the police when the goods come into Nigeria?
Let me take our last caller this morning. Reverend Dominic is calling in from Alimosho. Good morning, Reverend.
Good morning, Femi. How are you?
Terrific.
Good morning to former Consul General.
Thank you.
I have just one comment and one question.
Yes.
He said you want emphasizing on training. The question is this: do you train a man not to be corrupt? When we talk about the quality of people we recruit in custom, department, and I also want to say this: in his own time, what happens to the vehicle he sees? Because he was a control general in this nation, I know very well. In his own time, could you tell us those goods he sees? Because he's advocating. Is advocating for custom to be disciplined and punishment to people who allow goods to come in and go out. But we should ask questions, sir. In your own time, what happened to those goods you see? What happened to customs who let goods pass the border? Now, last one. As long as we don't have a good custom officers who can mind our border, we can close this border for 30 years. One day we will business continue as usual. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. So we're running out of time. I'm just going to give you 1 minute to answer that question.
The issue of corruption in custom is because of this deficiency in knowledge. Because once you know the implications of your action, then you will limit your actions.
He also wanted to know what happened to the seized goods.
I was Controller General for 8 months.
Okay.
And I was busy updating the codes and the C&E notices, training officers. I have not sold any single container or a vehicle when I was Controller General. I did it. I did it because I know the procedure for disposal of this thing. So my primary concern then was this capacity building of my officers. And once they have the knowledge, then they can act in accordance with the rules and regulations that set up the Nigeria Customs
You
Service.
agree with me that it is indeed a humongous task ahead of customs in a nation where there is no comprehensive data system. So someone can come in from Niger into Kano or any northern state, and it just easily mixes with the population. You cannot tell who is Nigerian and who is not. We must say a big thank you to you.
You know, we have artificial borders. It was because we have artificial borders.
No doubt about
Go
that.
to Cotonou. Some of them are in Cotonou. Some of them are in Seme. It's the artificial border that made this one.
We have to go now. Perhaps we bring you again so that we can continue this conversation. Hamid Bello Ahmed, OFR, Controller General Customs, retired. It's been really a pleasant time having this conversation with you. We'll be back tomorrow, God willing, with another exciting one. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. God bless Nigeria.